Alright, it is 9:38 a.m. and RGBP is a very disgusting looking morning panic bounce play. The drop was clean, but the price action afterward was really bad. I did try to place an order at 9:31 because at the time it looked like a normal morning panic bounce play. Nothing too great, especially because it was still green on the day because it had a gap up from the previous day. And I just didn't get a notification that an order went through. I checked my order status. I didn't see any orders that were pending or anything like that. So nothing in that shape or form went through. I thought, all right, whatever, I'll look at it later. It dropped some more. I thought, man, I hope my order just doesn't show up randomly that I'm executed. That wasn't the case. This thing continued to drop. And the reversal here was very quick, and it did bounce very quickly from the 664 level to the 714 level right at VWAP. And had I have been there at the turnaround, sure, I would have considered it. I did think it could turn around here. It just dipped slightly below it to scare a few people out, right? But after that it failed, and then it turned around. And then I thought, all right, well, you look at the big volume, everybody's getting absorbed into all of their buying is getting absorbed into by a bunch of sellers. And then it did get a little higher, and then it went under. I actually tried to place an order again here, risking this level. I would have cut losses quickly. I would have lost a tiny amount because 664 cracks the range. Maybe I'm out at 662. That would have been it. It did bounce a little afterwards, but I thought, okay, so what's going on? It turns out now with Schwab here, I cannot buy this stock anymore. They only accept selling positions. They only not selling positions. They only let closing orders go through. So if I had a position already and I'm going to sell, I can do that, but I can't buy anymore, and I don't think I can short sell this stock either. So I guess it's a lost cause. It's just going to be a watch. It is a little bit like a tsunami type panic stock, so maybe in theory this would follow the 3 ticker rule, but I can't trade this thing anymore. I wonder how many other brokers are having this. This was something that has been in the making for a while. The new rules by the SEC, I believe, that you can't buy and sell certain stocks that do not have current filings. So that was the issue here. Was not able to buy it. Maybe I would have cut losses here in this little tiny wick. I don't know. I would have been, maybe in theory I would have been in at maybe 667. It's at 69. This might have been the 3 ticker rule. I guess in theory I'll just see what this thing does. I don't think I can trade anywhere else. I think maybe with E-Trade I have just a little. I have no, I can't do day trades with E-Trade because I'm still in the market. Well, I guess I could. Yeah, so this could be the 3 ticker rule. So far, the bottom of the candle, the risk level is 684. I don't like it that much because it is right at VWAP. Let's see if this thing closes as a green candle. There is some selling. Yeah, it's gonna struggle at this VWAP level. That's a red candle. Yep, that closed as a red candle, so no entries here. It could still work though, but no entries. PBYA didn't really offer a morning panic bounce play. At least nothing in my opinion. CUBV, this one was down a bunch, and then it started trading all back and forth. I would have never have traded this unless just broke out of this range, but I wasn't here when this happened. That's probably the only time I would have considered a setup with this. There are no other stocks that I see that is having a nice potential. Not this one really, because it was only up one day. This will be hard. It is trying to bottom at this 181 level, but look at this spread. Yeah, that's a bit sketchy. That would be hard for, as long as it holds 181, it could be a setup, but look how close VWAP is. I wouldn't really want to trade this one. Let's see if 181 holds. And we just cracked it. I would have cut if I had somehow been in this trade, just because of the fact that it is a higher price LTC and VWAP is so close. It was only up one day, and it wasn't even up that nicely. It probably wouldn't have considered it in the first place. Yeah, that's all I got. No morning panic bounce plays, at least right now. I'll make an update later. Alright, it is 9:52. I just want to make a quick update. This one worked. I didn't trade it. I'll be honest, I was too scared. I didn't trade it. You know, it did offer a nice spike from 30 to 42.1, and then it drops at VWAP, and I guess we had here low volume candles. I could have been in this trade totally at, I had it at 381. You know, I could have totally been in this trade, but I don't know, I was just really just scared of it. I guess looking at this market cap, I should have realized that, you know, this thing could, you know, trade the way it did trade with this much volatility. But I would have been considering the sell now, maybe in the 460s, you know, around this 46 level, because we did have a first red candle form. A top in theory is in, and at the same time this thing is having this breakout over this previous range. I guess maybe 359, or if you want to be specific, 416. I would say 385, because that's where a lot of the wicks were. This was a very nice move. I mean, it went from, you know, 38 basically to 49. That's, I don't know what the percentage is on that, but that's pretty massive. This one totally worked out. And then this other one that I'm looking at, this one I don't mind missing it, because I've seen a lot of these fail where it just kind of keeps downtrending and then it tries to hold itself at some point and then it heads even lower. But in theory the risk level was 585. It did break it once here, and at least it did catch itself, so you know, at least it shows that it's not just gonna fall off a cliff completely. But maybe in theory I could have been at like 588 or something, risking this 585. I did consider it for a little. I wasn't even considering 100 shares, so I was considering half size, because this thing trades very sketchy and it doesn't look that nice when you look at the daily chart. I've been noticing that on a lot of these potential morning panic bounce plays, it is really off the EMA 5 or the EMA 4. What is this, 4 or 5? I forgot. And that was maybe potentially an indicator. I would have been out maybe at the 608 level or 607 level, because the red candle here was formed. We do have another one. It could keep uptrending, but in theory it's in at 608 from this 588. That wouldn't have been too bad. Not as nice as BRBL, but it's not really forming a bull flag. That's what I have in mind. PBYA isn't really doing anything. RGBP is uptrending. I can't buy or sell this one, which is fine. Nothing I really want to trade with CUBV. Would have liked it if it had a second day. Maybe if it breaks out of this range. Maybe if it breaks past VWAP. But yeah, that's nothing I'm really that interested in. I'm really happy to see how well BRBL is working. Again, I would have taken a sell in the 460s level, because the red candle here was formed, but that's pretty nice. I do kind of feel a bit salty missing this one. I don't feel that bad missing NLST, because that one, at least from my experience, this trade's all disgusting, but it did in theory hold, not perfectly, 585. I'll make an update later. Alright, it is 10:22. I just want to make an update. RGBP just broke the freaking day low, which was right here, and it tried to hold itself together, and it just started to bleed. Now we have the largest volume candle. Let me see where this is. If you look at the EMA 4, it is definitely below it at 51.5. But how much lower can it go? I don't know. I can't trade this thing, so there's literally nothing I can do. I found out this thing on the website where you can actually get access to like It's like a free scanner for OTCs. It's not perfect because you have to mess with it and sort it out. I just find it kind of interesting. I have it here organized by dollar volume, and GBTC is pretty much the most traded. The Bitcoin, Ethereum ones. RGBP is right here, third, trading 24 million dollar. I wish I could get dollar volume on E-Trade, but I can't. LCLP is another one. ABML I think has some news, and it is up. I don't know if I'll continue to use that free screener because I have to organize it, but I think it's nice to look at. Yeah, I had some news, but I don't think I would have traded this. Would have been kind of random to just buy here thinking it's gonna hold. I mean, there was a risk level, but that was about it. CUBV, in theory I could have traded this double bottom. Here was the low, and the low was right here. It probably would have been kind of sketchy because it wasn't really holding the range like it was right here. It was trying to hold this 23 level kind of nicely. This one, I guess in theory, it's because that it just barely held above it. It turned around from 23 to 28. That would have been it. After this first red candle, I guess it's selling at 26 level from a 23 entry, which wouldn't have been bad, honestly. That would have been pretty nice. NLST did do a double bottom, but look here, the market cap, right? Ridiculous market cap, ridiculously small amount of volume traded. In theory, it's just not really the best. It's a high float stock, so it's gonna trade all weird. It did double bottom, but I don't mind missing this one either because this one was sketchy. I was looking at this for a potential higher low, holding VWAP. It did hold it. It did move a little, but again, it just doesn't offer much range. Still nice patterns, even though it's not the best stock. It's still something nice to look at. BRBL, I wouldn't have messed with it after this setup right here. This would have been nice. This could have been my $100+ day. That's totally fine. At least I have another example to look at, more experience. CUBV, nothing I want to do with it. It was only up one day. RGBP, if I was able to trade this, I would consider it for the 3 ticker rule. So 3 green tickers. This one could totally do something like that, or some kind of inverse head and shoulders. PBYA isn't doing anything. It might be a no trading day, and that's totally fine. In theory, I could have traded NLST the very beginning, right when it was playing off of that 585 level. I could have traded this one. I wasn't there really when it was doing it. And then of course BRBL could have been that dip towards VWAP setup, but that's really all I have. I might not trade anything today, and that'll be fine. Alright, it is 11:01 a.m. I have some orders I have to take care of, a bunch of work I need to do, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it off. But I think maybe here with the 3 ticker rule, this would have been one. This would have maybe have counted as a second one. It didn't really uptrend, but this third one did do an ultimate uptrend, and I wouldn't have risked the wick here. I probably would have risked the bottom of the third green candle, which is 484. And no, I actually like the way it looks better with this. And in theory, here was a second red candle to sell into, so I would have maybe have been at first, second, third. Maybe I would have been in at 491, and then I would have sold maybe in the 50 level, because it then had this second red candle, which was pretty big. That would have been a tiny profit. So again, maybe it wasn't even an exact 3 ticker rule setup. Here was something else. Let's see if this one didn't work out. In theory, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. You risk the bottom, which is in theory 511. You're in right here at the candle opens, 518. It did get to 53.8. Here was 1 red candle, then the sketchy, this thing didn't drop at the risk level at 511, but it got close at 512. Another green candle, and then we had another red candle, and then I would have maybe sold at 52 or 51, and I would have been in basically the same level. So it didn't really work here. It's not really even nice because LCLP only had 1 nice green day, and that was it. It could have been much nicer. I don't really see a setup here. This could be some higher low setup, just like RGBP, but I don't necessarily want to trade something like this. CUBV is the only thing I think I'll be looking at, and this will be if it does an inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, and then right here, you know, it needs to break VWAP. If it makes an inverse head and shoulders, I'll consider it. This thing is a low float. It trades with a lot of range. It could be super profitable. That's something I'll take into consideration. BRBL is nothing that I am interested in either. So that's all I got really. It's just going to be a watch. I'm probably not going to do any trades today, and that's totally fine. At least some good lessons. And yeah, I can't really trade stocks that aren't current. I think RGBP is current. I checked, but maybe, you know, the broker hasn't really had an updated list of OTCs that are current or not. So that could be something to take into consideration. But this is all I have right now. Really, this thing needs to make a inverse head and shoulders for me to be interested in it. And it's not really too ideal because it is still down on the day. Alright, it is 7:29 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. I did not trade anything. I didn't make anything. I didn't lose anything. Nothing happened from there, and that is totally fine. RGBP, I was interested in this one, and that was way back in this little one. I think it was this one right here when it was 45. But I can't trade this thing with Schwab anymore because apparently they don't have their things up to date. So maybe they are now, and I just, you know, have been able to trade it because according to Schwab they haven't had the latest updates on these OTCs. Doesn't matter. I might have cut losses when it did have that little wick there anyway. It did get from 45 to 52. Not really the best range. Maybe the 3 ticker rule, you know, kind of would have been profitable here. Not really. It did eventually get to VWAP, and this was ultimately a Tsunami type morning panic bounce play type of stock. I don't like them as much. I don't like them at all, actually, but that's what we were given, and that's totally fine. LCOP, it did have this panic here. I don't remember if I just didn't trade it or I didn't want to and I saw it because, you know, it was later in the day, 10:39. I guess it's not that late, but it was only up one green day. Not the best long-term chart. I guess it's actually not that bad, but, you know, it could be worse. PBYA didn't really do anything, and that's fine. Hopefully maybe tomorrow I can do a nice one. It was a red candle today. You know, it's either going to try to break out of this range or head down. I hope it's not one of those slow freaking what was it? Like one of these that just freaking moves so slowly and ugly. I hope it doesn't turn out to be one of those. I don't think it will. CUBV, I think I was interested in it because it did trade with a lot of range, and yeah, I was going for the inverse head and shoulder head. It didn't really make a shoulder here under VWAP. It did hold VWAP. I actually thought about buying it because maybe it was like an official break past VWAP, but I just got too damn scared of this one. And it did uptrend from this 26.7 level to 31. That would have been profitable, but again, I was just super scared trading these. And that kind of sums it up. I was just too scared. I could have traded this one in theory. This one, I think I just missed it. And BRBL, this one was a super nice zip towards VWAP right here. You know, I did try a few times last week. I think one of them, at least one try, and it didn't work out. So I think I should just maybe focus on dip towards VWAP setups on stocks that have a low float, perhaps. RGBP, I guess, being the one with the highest float in theory, is having this Tsunami type stock. Another one, DPLS. Yeah, this thing has a high freaking whatever you want to call it. It has a high float. At least it feels like it. Maybe it's not. And then the last one was NLST. This one actually made a super nice turnaround. Now this thing just held VWAP, but it did do a move from the $6 range to, you know, I mean, it looks crazy, but it was 10% at its most. And this is the kind of stock where you can trade with more money, I guess, because of the fact it's a higher price OTC. I don't mind missing the price action here. Sure, I could have traded this 585 dip buy, but, you know, higher price OTCs don't really work that nicely. And this one, You know, it's just kind of weird. So really, I could have pushed myself to trade BRBL. This would have been a massive $100 plus trade, even with a $500 position size, because of how nice it was. I could have pushed myself to trade that right there. I could have also tried CUBV because it was holding VWAP. I've said it before, some of these kind of break past VWAP and it holds and it makes a nice run. I tried here, it failed. I tried here, it failed, but here it worked. I just need to keep pushing myself towards it, but I can't get that upset because none of it was like a really clean morning panic bounce play that I truly like. And RGBP ended up being, again, like a tsunami type panic stock. So I'll just look forward to the next day, tomorrow. Nothing again in terms of profit or loss, just I guess some good experience. I'm happy to see BRBL work, and I just need to really just stop being so scared. But I'm gonna still take things very cautiously, one step at a time. And yeah, regular morning panic bounce plays, that is my favorite setup. You know, so at least the setups I did miss were not really my perfect setup. So that's all I got. I look forward to tomorrow. Could have been much worse. Could have been much better, but yep. Signing off right here.